the purpose of this video is to walk you guys through a little bit of the scholarly research databases that you can use in order to find your secondary scholarly article for your paper in this unit. So I'm starting here on this week 6 module page. You will be able in this page to see a couple of things that I link you to. Of course, this doesn't encompass all that you have access to regarding scholarly research, but I think these are really good places to start, especially if you don't have too much familiarity with research databases that you have access to as a student. The first thing that I've got here is a search terms checklist. So as you guys are looking for information, scholarly journal articles on both or one of the texts that you'll cover in your second essay, I just want to give you a really big list of different ways that you can think about typing in search terms into the databases. These databases are unlike Google, where you can type in a whole sentence. They go based on keywords. So whatever you type into the search term or the search field, what you're telling the computer to do is to compare all articles that have ever been published that are in this database against the terms you type in, and if there is an article with those terms, to pull it for you. So the more narrow your terms and the more kind of qualifiers you use, like and or not, the more likely you are to get content that's going to work for you. And so then what I've given you here is just sort of like a long list of, well, it's really not that long, but a list of things, places where I would start. Start with just searching the author's name. That's probably going to be too broad. So then maybe search both of the author's names at the same time, or search an author and the title of the text that you're looking at, the other author and their title, both of the titles together, maybe the author and the theme, whether that's a one-word theme or a two-word theme or kind of a theme phrase, even searching in maybe the text title, or you can bring it all together. You can do author, title, and theme. There's a lot of different ways that you can search, and so the reason that I built this checklist, and I'll probably continue to work on it as I come up with new ideas to put in here, or if you have found that a particular grouping of search terms was helpful for you, let me know. I'll add it into this list here. But the reason I'm giving this to you guys is because I think a lot of students sometimes will search one or two things and say, okay, well, I don't know what else to do. I'm having a hard time searching. And this is just a good reminder of the idea that we might have to just slightly change the word we're using or add on another word in addition to the word that we're using in order to find what we're looking for. If you're not familiar with Boolean phrase search terms, I would encourage you to kind of do a little bit of research. That should be something you understand from English 112, but if it's not, if you want me to talk to you more about it, I'm happy to do that. I've got a little video that I can share with anyone who's not sure about that. So I wanted to start here. The other thing that this part of the module will link you to are two of our databases that we have access to as Mitchell students that I think will be most helpful for you. These are not the only two databases that you can access, but they're the ones that have the most content, and particularly the most content that's probably going to be relevant for your writing. So if you find that neither of these work, one, I'll go ahead and say Google Scholar can be a good search place for you, although sometimes it will take you to articles that you actually can't access without paying for them, and I don't want anyone to pay for anything, so just keep that in mind. And then I also link everyone to the Huskins database and resources from the Mitchell library. So this is all of the databases that Mitchell purchases access to for students, and there might be other things that you find in here that might say, oh, maybe I'll search in this database and I might be able to find something I'm looking for. But again, JSTOR, which is a new one that we recently have come to have access to, which is super exciting, and then ProQuest, these are the two. So what I want you to do, and what I'm going to do, is just kind of walk through JSTOR and ProQuest very briefly, a couple of minutes, and show you some of the ins and outs of it, some nice things about both of the databases, the differences between them, just to kind of give you some, like maybe an example of how to use both of these. So I'm going to pick this search phrase, the wasteland and death, and I'm copying it here on my keyboard, and I'm going to type it directly into JSTOR. And what you're going to see is that I've got quotation marks, I've got and in all capital letters, and then quotation marks again around this. And what this is telling the search to do is just search for the entire phrase, the wasteland, not the word the word waste, and the word land. That might give me information on eco-criticism or something like that. And death. So whatever results I get, I should have both this phrase and the word death, and hopefully that will give me at least a little bit of results. Here I see that I have over 8,000 results. That's a lot. Of course, I don't expect you all to read through or even look at the title of every single one of these. You're going to notice that the results that show up first are the most popular ones. Once you type in your search, remember that you're looking for scholarly articles. So you want to make sure whatever you find has this label, journal article. And if you want to be 100% sure, what you can do is narrow it down to just journals. And this is in JSTOR. So here I'm looking at this particular database. So here I'm going to get over 6,000 results. That's still a lot. And again, I'm still getting the most relevant ones first. I could also search within these results. So let's say out of these 6,000, I also want to add another search term. I can do that as well. Okay, so right now I'm just looking at my Eliot text. Maybe I might also add in Byron's last name, or well, Byron, and see if there's any text that has the wasteland, death, and Byron. That might narrow us down a little bit more. Okay, so now I'm less than 1,000. I want to narrow down to, again, just journals so that I don't accidentally find something that's not going to qualify for the purposes of this research. And now I'm at over 600. That's still a lot. I don't expect you to look at every single one of these titles and abstracts and things like that. However, it is much more narrowed and focused than the original 8,000 that we got. So that's good. And here there's a journal article called T.S. Eliot and Byron. So if I click on this, I can, because I'm a student and I have access to JSTOR, by the way, really quick side note, you might have to log in if you are working on your home computer. Like usually when I get here, maybe not here, but before I even get to JSTOR, it'll ask me to log in using my Mitchell credentials. Go ahead and do that. And so I can't download it because I don't have that kind of access, but I can read it online for free. And I might have to log in again via my institution. So you can walk through that process and see if it works. And if you find that you're not going to end up having access to it, let me know. I might be able to find a copy of it for you or help you. But you can see a preview of the article down here. You might not be able to see all of the pages. It will tell you how long the article is as well. So notice that this is almost 20 pages. That's pretty characteristic of most pieces of scholarship on literature. Most scholarly articles, again, literary themed, are going to be about 20 pages. So make sure that as you are finding sources, not only do you have time to read them, but you might also want to work in some time to make sure that if you do read them and they're not going to work, you have time to go back and find a better one that is going to work. One of the things that I really like about the majority of the databases that we have access to is the cite function, because I feel like it takes a lot of the legwork out of citing a source. So here you see I'm in this journal article, T.S. Eliot and Byron. It is a little bit dated, but that's okay. I can click cite this item and it's going to give me the citation styles in MLA, APA, and Chicago. And so here I can copy, of course, the MLA citation style that I'm looking for. Just pay attention. Sometimes these are not right. Sometimes when you copy and paste, the italics doesn't transfer over. Sometimes some font ends up being in all capital letters or something like that. So you really you want to make sure you know how to cite a journal article, and then compare it, but you can use this as kind of a shortcut workaround. That's one of the things I really like about these databases. Okay, so I'm going to go back and see what happens when I click on another one, just to see if I have one that I don't know what this is, but maybe this is, I want to see if I have one that I could look up. So again, I have this read online for free. I'm probably going to have to log in via my institution and bear with me, guys. I want to see if this is going to work. Alright, so I probably just have to log in again. That might be what happened. Okay, now I have to search again. Alright, so you just go back through the process. If you have access to, if you log in the first time, usually it will ask you to log in right away, and you shouldn't have to go through this process. If you're having trouble, if you can't get in, please let me know. That's a run through of JSTOR. I want to look at ProQuest. I have much more familiarity with ProQuest because it's the one that I've been using for longer. I do remember JSTOR as a student, but I have only just gained access as an instructor. So let's say I type in the same search terms. I want to go ahead and click full text, and here I am, I'm in ProQuest. I've linked you guys to ProQuest and JSTOR from Blackboard. So I'm typing in the same search terms. I'm going to go ahead and click full text. Full text means that I'm going to have access to the entire article, not just a very small portion of it. And I'm going to click peer reviewed. Peer reviewed means that I'm looking at scholarly articles published in scholarly journals. Scholarly journals are notoriously peer reviewed, so that's what that means there. You want to make sure this box is selected, because otherwise you might get newspaper articles, magazine articles, which don't fit the criteria for a scholarly article that you want to incorporate in your second paper. So I'm searching the same thing. I will see what comes up. I've already got it narrowed down, and in ProQuest, I only have just over 1,000 results. So my original search is even more narrow than the search that I did in JSTOR. I don't know if that's any better or worse. That could just mean that I actually don't have as much access in ProQuest as I do in JSTOR, but that's just less that I have to look through. So here, the other thing to note is all of these give you that little graduation cap, because these are definitely scholarly articles. So you're good. You make sure you see this graduation cap, and you know you have the right type of source that we're looking for in this paper. Let's say I click on pessimism in T.S. Eliot's poem, The Wasteland. Here, it's going to take me to an abstract, and it's going to automatically give me the full text. This is one of the things that I've decided I like better about ProQuest, is there's less of a challenge of getting to the content. There might be better articles than JSTOR. In fact, I feel like there are, because it's a bigger search engine, but ProQuest is still giving us some kind of easier access to the information that we have. Similar to JSTOR, there are some great features of ProQuest as well. Again, because you have that super easy access, you can download the PDF for free. You won't have to log in again or anything like that. You just click download PDF, and it will automatically give you access to how this text was published in its original source. One of the things that I feel like seems to be the case with ProQuest is that many of the articles feel shorter than the type of research that I did as a student. I don't know if that is just the nature of ProQuest or the nature of the types of scholarly journals that ProQuest puts in the database. But I think that, you know, if I hesitate to say this, but if you are pressed for time, ProQuest might give you shorter resources. However, I don't know if that is necessarily a good thing. I don't know if it's a bad thing, but I'm not sure that it's a good thing either. So I guess just take that with a grain of salt. Some other things I like about ProQuest is, again, the cite function. When you click cite, you are going to see the ability to look at a ton of different options. Of course, this class is MLA 8th edition, so you have to change that by scrolling down to MLA 8th edition, and then it will change for you, but it will usually be in APA. So just keep an eye on the citation style. You don't want to accidentally copy and paste an APA formatted reference instead of an MLA citation. And then, of course, if you are going to use this, same rules apply. Double check, make sure it's correct, and make sure that you copy over the italics from the journal title and the italics from the fact that you found it in ProQuest. So keep that in mind too. You can print it, you can email it to yourself, you can save it, but I think that it saves under your ProQuest account and not like on your computer. So if you want to save it into a folder on your own computer, I would just download the PDF and save it that way. The other thing I do like about ProQuest that I can't remember if we get in JSTOR is this related titles. So let's say you found an article, you've checked out the abstract, and you're like, I'm not really sure it's gonna work for my paper. Before you hit the back button, just jump over here and see if any of these other titles might be something that you're interested in, or even going in further. There's some things you can also do, which is look at indexed terms, meaning kind of narrowing it down a little bit further. That's one of the things I do like about JSTOR is you can search within a search you've already done, like I showed you a little bit ago. Here you can continue to sort of like limit down the types of articles that you're seeing, you know, if you want a certain date range or other things, kind of filter it down, but you can't research within. What you would have to do is add on a new search term. So in JSTOR, when I added Byron to my search, we got, I think, something like 600 results. Here in ProQuest, if I add Byron to my search, I'm getting 93 results that reference Byron, the wasteland, and death. So, you know, that's even less. And again, I don't know how long they'd be. I mean, here's a 26-page article, so I can't really say that every source in ProQuest is going to be less pages than in JSTOR. Maybe that was just a fluke or just something I'm making up in my head. So this is ProQuest. You can always narrow down to an advanced search before you do your one big search. You can browse, you can look at the different types of publications, but I feel like just the standard search, making sure that you're looking for the full text and a peer-reviewed article in ProQuest is kind of the way to go here. So these are the databases, JSTOR and ProQuest. You do have access, again, to a ton of different databases. Here, I have not really ever used most of these. ProQuest I've used a whole bunch, JSTOR a little bit, and there's one that more universities have access to that we don't, and I can't even remember the name anymore, but probably most of the same stuff. So if you have questions, if you're looking for something specific, if you don't even know what to look for, definitely send me an email. Those questions are best answered sort of in a one-on-one basis. So if I can help you work out the research component of this second paper, it's minimal, it's not a lot, but if I can help you in any way, just let me know.